So speaking of cinematic universes, um, DC is making a similar and also altogether different choice about how they're going to treat their movies and how they're going to treat their shows. They're two completely different universes, and this really has been confirmed by um, Batman v Superman. You have a different version of the Flash introduced than the Flash that's on the CW. You have a version of Superman who now is appearing on Supergirl, which started on CBS and now has moved over to the CW. So that's weird because we have two different types of Superman. Um, and so, same question, Matt. Do you think that's a good idea? And if there's room for it, or if they should really be like Marvel and focusing on, hey, these are different shows and movies, but they're all taking place in the same universe. Like, which way is better, or is there even a better way? It's just two different ways of doing the same type of thing.
I feel like for this, just because they don't have as many, like DC doesn't have, they don't have as many shows as Marvel does going on for like different heroes. So when I saw the movie and I saw the Flash, again, I haven't seen the show, um, but I've vaguely seen the character. And when I saw the trailer for it, I watched it with my brother, who he keeps up with all of the shows, Marvel, DC, anything. And I was just like, oh, is that the same Flash from the show? He's like, no. I'm like, I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
I wouldn't know.
Like they're both young white dudes who have similar hairstyles. I was like, I don't know. He kind of looks like him. I feel like for that they could have at least thrown the Flash in there. Like maybe because right now the Justice League movie that's coming out, they have Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash,
Aquaman.
Aquaman. Do they have anyone else planned right now?
I think that's it.
Oh yeah, so they have like five people from the Justice League. I feel like they could have thrown at least the Flash from the show in there, just because don't those shows usually like the seasons are like decently distance apart?
More or less, yeah.
I feel like they could have at least done that. For that, there's not as many there's not as many heroes in shows as there are in movies. I feel like they could have found a way to incorporate that. So to hear that the Flash from the show won't be in the movie, but they both look very similar in my
Yeah.
opinion, and that might just be because I've only seen glimpses. But they both look young. They both look like they dress like each other. I feel like people who don't watch the show but have seen like commercials for it and then see the movie, they're gonna be like, "Oh, it's cool that they threw him in there," and then people are gonna be like, "That's not the same dude." It's
Yeah.
like they should have just done it anyway because it would have been a cool thing to do to like throw him in there.
And like you, kind of the casual observer, you got confused and you're like, "Oh, is that the same guy?" And no, it's not the same guy. Well, why not? And I mean, with the comics have this multiverse thing where, you can have different versions of the same hero, blah blah blah. But this Marvel seems to at least be making some sense with their choices because you have the Punisher, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Luke Cage, all kind of intermingling and starring in their own series, and they have their little galaxy of sorts that's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And they reference events that happen in the movies. And those events, especially with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gets drastically affected by the events in the movies. and it's interesting to see the fallout that happens. But yeah, for DC to kind of have, oh, we have two different Flashes and potentially two different Green Arrows and two different fill in the blank, two different Supermans now. How do you have two different Supermans? Two different Suicide Squads. Because they're on I want to say on Green Arrow, there are some members of the Suicide Squad that are on Arrow. But they're different. And it's confusing. But yeah, for confusion's sake, I think Marvel definitely is doing a better job. Like there with everything, they're doing a better job on that too.